Welcome to Things to Do at the Grosse Pointe War Memorial. My name is Louanne Watrick. This show highlights all of the special classes and events that we do here. And my guest today has been on the show many times, and I'm very delighted to welcome to the show a professor of the classics, Dr. Lena Hatzichronoglou. Dr. Lena, thank you for coming to the show again.
Thank you, Louanne.
One of the things that is so amazing is that you've made the classics your life work. Before we talk about the lecture, and I know you're going to give the viewers a little bit of a preview of what you're going to do in your lecture, tell us a little bit about your background and how you've made the classics your passion.
Well, the classics have been my passion since I was in high school, as I've said before. Right. And, of course, obviously, and to the guests, your viewers who have seen me before, right. I'm Greek. I was born and raised in Greece. I did my undergraduate education in Greece, and I came to this country to pursue my graduate, to further my education in the graduate school. Right. But the point is that, ever since I was a young kid, the classics fascinated me. And to this day, they haven't stopped inspiring me and fascinating me. Right. And as my students and my colleagues or whatever tell me, that I talk with passion about it because I don't know, I find so much inspiration in them. Right. Because it's the stories which are, and that's why people do not understand what classics is. They are classics for a reason. Right. Because they never get old. And you see, this is what really is wonderful about them, that people ask me, how come and you can teach the same thing all over again? Don't you get bored? Right. I said, it's never the same thing, because every time I teach it, it's a new idea, it's a new depth, it's a new story.
Or a metaphor for something new that's happened today.
Right. Or I have realized, or a student brings in a new idea. Correct. So that you can see how the same story can be explored in more and more ways.
Right, exactly. And that's why you make it so interesting, because I know in your lectures, I've been there and I've talked to people that have attended them, that you bring such fascinating stories that when you walk out you say, I never thought about it that way. I never knew that information. Now I know how I can, apply it to my everyday life. Mm-hmm. So that's what's really amazing and really fascinating with what you do. Now, you did in the past do lectures for us based on some of the sayings, and maybe you might mention those, and then you can tell us what you're doing now.
Yeah. As I said, last year we did expressions like Achilles' heel or Pandora's box, and this year we're taking themes from the Odyssey, the first piece of Western literature. Right. Fascinating story in which we have a different, the Odyssey is quite different from the Iliad from the point of view it's a different type of hero, which it's so pertinent for the world of today, because you see, as we are in the middle of a war now,
crisis.
And crisis, but sure. A war, and the Iliad of Homer is a war epic, but then you need the war doesn't end until Odysseus, the hero of the Odyssey, comes in and invents things with his mind. So the hero of the mind, as we need it in the world of today, we need some kind of idea to solve the problem we are in, because we did what we did with the war, with the weapons. So this is what I'm bringing in, and the subject of the lecture that I'm going to be doing is Penelope, because Penelope is the wife of Odysseus, who is waiting for him on the island where Odysseus is from, Ithaca. And Odysseus is gone for 20 years, 10 years at the war, 10 years in his adventure at sea, trying to reach home.
Finding himself.
Find himself and return home, and he has a wonderful, a fascinating adventure there. Okay. But his wife, Penelope, is waiting for him. Okay. And the subject of this lecture is going to focus, this lecture is going to focus on her and why she is important in the epic, but in our lives too.
Right. And that's what's very fun in your lectures, because you show us the metaphor, but then you bring it into what's going on in our lives. You know.
Yeah, as usual, you know, my lectures constitute of 3 parts. You know, number 1 is the story, which is fascinating, and also the influence that the story has in art, in other pieces of literature later. Literature and in the art, in the visual arts and sculpture and painting and all that. So this is the first part of the lecture. But then we explore what it means as a metaphor, as a symbol. What is this story all about? What does it mean symbolically? And then the third part is this symbol. Is it pertinent? Is it important for you and me?
And what should I do with
always?
And what should I do with it?
Exactly. And then we get into a lot of questions, and people participate, and then they come up with a lot. I mean, as people told me last week when I gave the last one, people told me they got out inspired because. It's a lot of ideas that, you know, just by listening to the story you may not come up with. But sharing and exploring, you understand how important and how pertinent these stories are for the world of today.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry to say we're almost at the end of our interview, but one final thing. Does a person have to have read the Odyssey?
Not necessarily, because, you know, I give it for the general audience, so I give them, I mean, if they know the story, they get even more. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have it, to have read it before, because I give them everything they need. And, of course, needless to say that I use PowerPoint. So
I know. You do a wonderful presentation.
Yes, so I bring all the pictures and the main points on the screen so people can absorb it right there. And, of course, people share their own views, and makes it very rich.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lena, for coming to the show again. If you've just joined us, we're really at the end of our interview. I'm speaking to Dr. Lena Hatzichronoglou. She's going to be doing a lecture on Homer's Penelope and why she is important. Please make sure to give us a call at 881-7511. Visit us online at www.warmemorial.org or drop in person. And please do sign up early. Check your calendar for dates and times. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.